Okay. Paper airplane is launched off the balcony from a height of 20 feet with a velocity of 76 feet per second. How many seconds will land on the ground? So I make my 3 boxes off to the side, because this is a path problem. And by the way, the paper airplane goes like this, so no line. That means I need the 3rd box to be pretty big. Okay, so you got feet and seconds. So the time is x, the second is y. So per feet per second. Okay, the feet per second 76x. Now all you need to do is mark on the parabola where you started from. You start before 76, you started from 20 feet. Okay? So parabola is a quadratic equation. Okay, so my gravity is -16. Now 76 goes here, and then the starting height 20 goes here. Now you got to put the ground means 0 feet. If you see the word ground, that means 0 feet. So 0 feet, feet is a y value. We put it in for y. Okay, so now you have to solve for x if it's equal to 0. So you find 2 answers. Okay, got to get it equal to 0, and you already have it equal to 0. So that's 3 terms. So GCF, and then the table. Okay, and again, for those of you who have been gone for this, the reason -16 gets put in front of the x squared, because the gravity, number for gravity in algebra is -16x squared. Then I add the 76x plus the starting height equals where it hits the ground, so 0 feet. -16 is not in these problems, okay, but you use it to exemplify, to represent gravity. Okay, 16, 76, and 20. If you look on your multiplication chart, you're going to find that those are all in the row of 4. Okay, my 4 also needs to have a negative, but not an x, because I have a constant of 20. So -4 is out. So it's going to be positive 4x to the second, minus that, divided by that's 19x, then minus 5. Then I go A, B, C. Now before I go to my table, I see A is a 4x squared, so you're going to need 2 sets of parentheses there to factor that. So 4x, 4x. So 4 times -5 is -20, okay? And you're trying to add to get to -19. Positive, negative, be 1 and 20, and you add those, that's -19. Right away, so +1 minus 20. 4 and 1 are just in the row of 1. You can divide by 1, but it stays 4x plus 1. 4 and 20 are both in the 4th row, so that becomes x minus 5. You can put a 1 if you want. Now you did have your GCF of -4. Okay, so here are my 2 factors. Remember, that outside doesn't mean anything because it didn't have an x when I actually go to solve it. I mean, it's part of the factoring, but 4x plus 1 equals 0. X minus 5 equals 0. So I add 5, and I get 5. That's a good answer there. And then I subtract 1, I get -1. Divided by 4 is -0.25. So 5 is the answer I want to tell people about. Okay, then the last problem is a startled armadillo. Okay, a startled armadillo jumps straight into the air with an initial velocity of 14 feet per second. After how many seconds does it land on the ground? So there are 2 units. Feet and seconds. Now if you look at the path, the armadillo goes up, he comes down. So I need a fairly large box to set up these kind of equations. It's not like a linear. So you got feet and seconds. X is seconds, Y is feet. And the rate of feet per second, every single second he goes 14, 14x. Okay, now that armadillo, there's nothing that comes before the 14 feet per second, so that's 0 feet. Okay, you don't know y equals mx plus b is for a line. That has nothing to do with it. Okay, so my equation, I'm going to have an x to the second and x, a constant, equals y. So the x to the second term is negative 16. Then 14 is my feet per second. And then he starts at 0 feet, so that means I put 0, but I get rid of that, okay? That means I only have 2 terms here. So again, the ground means 0 feet. So 0 feet goes into the equation for y. And now I have to get the 2 solutions for x. There's 2 of them. You have 2 terms, so that would be greatest common factor. Then you're going to check for a difference of perfect squares, but you're not going to have one. Okay, greatest common factor, 16 and 14 are both in the second row. You also need to put an x on the 2 because you just have these 2. Neither one of those is a constant, so you also factor out an x. And then the negative in front of the 16 means we need to have a negative 2x. So we want that, our x squared coefficient, to be positive. Okay. That divided by that's 8. X squared divided by x takes it to x. Positive 14 divided by negative 2 is minus 7. And those x's there cancel. Now if you look in that parentheses, you see that your x is no longer to the second power. So you don't have to do the difference of perfect squares. You don't even have to check for it. Besides, even if it was x to the second, 8 and 7 are not perfect squares. You look on the board. So I put equals 0, wrap a parentheses, and you got F1 and F2 right there. So negative 2x could equal 0, or 8x minus 7 can equal 0. So here I just divide by negative 2, and x equals 0. Here I add a 7, so 8x equals 7 divided by 8. 7 divided by 8 is 0.875, I believe. And that's not the prettiest looking answer, but it's the only positive answer I got, so that's what I have to put down. Means he's up in for just a fraction of a second. All right.